Okay, fellas, I think we should be up.
All right.
All right, yeah, we're up. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Breakdown After Dark. I'm your host, Casey Smith, joined as always by my two co-hosts, Mr. Uh, Aiden Dobell and Keenan Vaughn. And we're on a little bit of a. I'm hearing myself right now. Is someone playing the video right now?
I don't think so.
Sorry, give me one second. This is. Oh, I see the issue with it. All right, I fixed it. Yeah, as you can tell, it's a little bit of a test run episode as we're going over to YouTube using OBS to stream. I realized it was me who was actually playing the own video, which is what I was hearing myself. But anyways, as we switch over to YouTube, we get to do some more fun stuff like OBS and making thumbnails and whatnot. But I am joined, as always, by Aiden and Keenan. I got a lot to talk about today as we look at the national championship, the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, some college basketball, and so much more. But as always, Aiden and Keenan, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, got to watch a great national championship last night. College basketball's in full swing, so great time of the year for sports.
I'm doing just fine. Sunday was a little rough. We'll get into that later, but I'm doing just fine now. It's Tuesday. It's all good.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we will get into why Mr. Dobell and Mr. Vaughn had a little bit of a rougher weekend. But let's talk about college football first. I mean, that's the thumbnail of this video. I want to talk about Fernando Mendoza. I want to talk about Indiana and Miami as well. You got to give them flowers for making it this far. But I kind of want to bring up the topic of this video, which is Indiana the greatest underdog story in sports? Now, it's kind of hard to quantify that. Maybe it's some random beach volleyball team that went undefeated when they didn't exist the year before. But so my knowledge, I mean, it's really hard to quantify how unlikely this would have been just 2 years ago. I mean, Indiana was one of the first programs to reach 700 losses in college football. In the 130 or so FBS teams, they're bottom 20 in win percentage. And just 2 years ago, I believe they only had two wins. Am I correct? It was two or three.
I think in the 2 years before Signetti, I think they were 3-9 and 4-8. Like they are literally one of the worst. Before Coach Signetti got there, they were one of the worst programs in college football. So, um, yeah, insane turnaround that they've been able to make.
Yeah. Um, and the fact that, obviously in the NIL era things are a little bit different, but I think this is a good story. You know what I mean? Like they didn't spend the most money. They didn't have crazy high star prospects. Like Mendoza was a two-star from Cal, correct?
Yeah, two-star high school recruit, and then didn't even get offered a walk-on opportunity at Miami, actually, which is kind of a true full circle moment that he ended up beating them in the national title game. But yeah, I believe they had maybe like one or two 4 stars or 5 stars on the team. It was mainly made up of 3 stars and a lot of guys that Signetti brought over from JMU.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you told, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, I mean,
Mhm.
if you told people that Fernando Mendoza would be going into the 2026 draft as the first overall pick, I think a lot of people wouldn't even know who he was because I think a lot of people expected this to be a loaded draft class for quarterbacks, and Mendoza was a transfer from Cal to Indiana that really went under the radar. I mean, I thought he had a lot of potential, but I don't think it was one that people were, having their minds blown or anything. But man, has he lived up to his end of the bargain.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he is going to be going number one at this point, correct?
I think that's an all but a foregone conclusion at this point.
I mean, Mark Davis was there last night.
Yeah, like the Raiders GM was there, Tom Brady were there. Like they were stalking Mendoza like a kind of like a lion stalks a gazelle. Like they clearly want Mendoza to be their guy. And I think it's more so about his honestly his mental ability, less so than a lot of his physical abilities. He is one of the just smartest quarterbacks that I've seen in quite some time at the college level.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's not like one of these super toolsy athletes that we've seen recently. Like he's not the same number one pick as like a Cam Ward or a Caleb Williams, just in terms of like player archetype. But I'll definitely be interested to see how he pans out, especially on a Raiders team that's pretty rough. I mean, Brock Bowers is cool. Ashton Genty is cool. We don't quite know who the head coach is going to be yet, still at this point after Pete Carroll's departure. Um, but the wide receivers, I mean, especially now that Jacoby Myers is gone, Devontae Adams left last year. Like, who's your best option? Trey Tucker.
Uh, Trey Tucker, you got Dante Thornton last year, who is more so just kind of a deep threat type of guy. I don't know that he can really be your true wide receiver one. So I would probably expect them to try to draft a receiver to help Mendoza as well. But then again, the offensive line is so bad. Like the Raiders do have some nice pieces with Bowers and Genty, but it certainly is not a fantastic situation to be stepping in. There's a reason they're picking at number one overall in the
Yeah.
draft.
Um, Looking at it from Miami's side, though, 10 seed, making it this far. I know a lot of pushback to the college football playoff being 12 deep has been that, a lot of these bottom end teams, are they really able to win a national championship? There's a pretty big skill gap in college football. I don't think anyone's denying that. You routinely see in like college basketball, for example, you'll see um, a 4 seed lose to, like a 12, 13, 14 seed. But I don't think the 60th best team or the 50th best team in college football has much of a chance against the top 10 team often. I mean, you see those upsets sometimes. But Miami kind of goes against that and maybe proves why the 12-team college football playoff is pretty solid.
I
Yeah,
think so. I mean, in my mind, this has to be what the playoff committee was dreaming of when they expanded to 12 teams. I was not a fan of that. I was kind of hoping they would just do 4 to 8 teams. I thought 12 was just a little bit too big. But to see a 10 seed make it all the way to the national championship game, it was awesome because it proves that the system does work, that there are at least 10 teams that are worthy of competing for the national championship. And I was wrong about Miami. I didn't give them much of a chance going into this. I didn't really know if they deserved a shot over teams like Notre Dame, but Mario Cristobal really proved me wrong. I really doubted him as a head coach, and he's really revitalized the Miami program. So I have to give him his chops.
yeah, absolutely. I think my score prediction when I got asked for this game, I said Indiana was going to beat them 38-7.
Yeah.
That was clearly not wrong. I mean, Miami really put up a great fight, and it was a much different Miami team than we're used to seeing. I think typically you think of Miami, you think of their kind of high flying offense, air raid style of offense, but that was not the brand of football that Miami played. Miami played a similar brand of football to Indiana, which was physical up front on offense and defense. They built through the trenches with Mario Cristobal. That was a big point of emphasis, and yeah, you got to give credit to them for taking it down to the wire. I mean, they had an opportunity to potentially win that game on the final possession. So no, I got to give credit to the committee. They absolutely got it right, and Miami 100% deserved to be there.
What do you guys think then, expanding it a little bit more? I mean, we're talking about the national championship, but we haven't been live in a little bit, so we haven't been able to talk about the whole college football playoff quite as much. Um, those group of five teams, the group of five bids. Now, I'm pretty sure Aiden's got a pretty strong opinion about it from what we've talked about. But um, this year we got two, which was kind of odd because of the whole Duke situation with them being what 8-5 and winning their conference. But do you think a group of five team should have an automatic bid?
Um, I don't know about the automatic bids, like just because I feel like I go back and forth because on the same part at one point, like if you're not giving them a bid, then what are these kind of smaller schools really playing for? I did hear the argument that, maybe you just kind of give the group of five teams their own playoffs, and give them money each round if that's what it's all about anyway, is just the money for these schools. You could get a lot more competitive games that way, but yeah, you maybe potentially take away games, or take away a spot from a team like Notre Dame or teams that people feel deserve it. But these smaller schools got to have something to play for. So I do kind of like the auto bids. I think it gives schools like JMU and Tulane or North Texas. It gives them something to strive for at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I don't agree with the arguments that the group of five is never worthy of a bid. I think there are plenty of examples of teams like 2021 Cincinnati. I think they were a team that proved that they at least deserved a shot to be in the conversation for the college football playoff. Um, but the auto bid situation is tricky. I mean, teams like James Madison and Tulane, as happy as I am to see them in that position, I cannot say with a straight face that they have a chance at Oregon or at Ole Miss. That's just a level of competition that they're not at right now. I don't really feel great about a group of five playoff. That just kind of feels like you might as well just make them like their own FCS, like a whole different level of college football. I think they can definitely compete with some Power Five teams and programs, but including them in the 12-team playoff with the best of the Power Four, it just kind of seems like you're setting them up to fail in a way.
I think my logic is that like the issue I had with the four team is that there was like really almost no way for a group of five team to make the college football playoff. Like Cincinnati did, um, but like UCF legitimately had a year where they went undefeated. They didn't make it. But now I think that I'm still fine with having one group of five auto bid, but I think it's definitely possible. Like Boise State last year, right? I think we can agree they were deserving of a playoff spot.
Hmm.
But I also think we can agree that even if there wasn't an automatic like group of five bid, they still would have made it regardless. Like were they not in the top 12 rankings? So I don't think you need to guarantee a bid for the group of five because I think they can get it. And I think by guaranteeing it, all you're doing is making so the teams that like aren't worthy are kind of going to make it in. I'm fine either way, really, because I think like I don't feel so bad for the teams that get snubbed or whatever. Like, if you lose 2, 3 games in the college football regular season, like you could have done more. You could have
Yeah.
done more, and it's kind of out of your hands at that point. So I don't feel so bad for the borderline teams, but I do understand why. The one thing I will say I have a really big issue with this formatting is how long this bracket is, how long the
Yeah.
playoff scheduling is. I mean, how long has it been from the national championship to the semifinals? Damn
It's
near a month.
over a month. It's been over a month. Because I believe they had the first round games like I think December 20th, December 19th and 20th exactly.
Yes, something like that. Like the the whole playoff just kind of takes too long. Like I don't think we need these extra bye weeks in between the game. I think we can have games every single week, and I think I mean from what we've seen, these teams don't benefit from having extra bye weeks anyway. I think in the college football playoffs, teams coming off of a bye are 1-8 or 1-9, something like that. Like these teams are not benefiting from having a bye, and all it's doing is just prolonging the season. And I think it's kind of decreases the level of interest in some of these games when people are like, like I think some people forget that the college football season is still going on when you're midway through the NFL playoffs and the college football season is still going on and you're still playing for the national championship. I think we can kind of eliminate some of this time in between the games and we can just play every week and play right around New Year's or right after New Year's. And I think that would fix a lot of the issues there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
in
don't.
that same vein, I would almost be okay with like a 16-team playoff if that would both eliminate the like the lengthy bye weeks
Hmm.
and get the games going every single week. I don't need to be waiting 2 weeks just to see to go from one round to the next. I want to see continuous movement and not have to wait a whole month to find out what the end of the bracket is.
Yeah, I almost forgot that the national championship was happening. Like, obviously, I knew, but it kind of I kind of felt like the college football season was over. So it was very strange.
Hmm.
But that's the most obvious thing, along with transfer portal stuff. But I'm not even going to get into that bag of worms quite yet. Let's switch over from one football to the other as we switch over to the NFL. We had the divisional weekend this past week. 8 teams came in, 4 teams left, and we'll start off with Saturday's games. We'll go in chronological order. Started off with an OT game. We ended with an OT game as well. We got Bills Broncos 30-33. The Broncos come out on top. They do lose Bo Nix on the second to last play with a pretty rough injury for their season. Jared Stidham will start the next game, but let's think more about this game first. Implication for the Bills as they've just been eliminated.
Well, I mean, the biggest story probably coming out of the game that's not Bo Nix's ankle injury is Bills fire Sean McDermott after this game. So kind of what is the future of the Buffalo Bills going to look like? What is the future of Josh Allen going to look like? I think a lot of people, myself included, probably thought that this was the Bills and Josh Allen's best chance at getting to a Super Bowl with no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow in these playoffs. This was their best opportunity, and Josh Allen did not have a great game. He once again had a game where he just kind of turned the ball over too much. I feel like sometimes I think he tries to put too much on himself and tries to kind of be Superman and backpack his team, and it ends up costing them in this game. Credit to the Broncos. Bo Nix played a great game. Their defense was able to disrupt Josh Allen. Um, I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to look like next round with Jarrett Stidham at the helm. I hope that they don't limit what they're able to do so much, and I hope that they allow him to throw the ball around a little bit, that they're not ultra conservative with the backup. But yeah, definitely is unfortunate for Bills fans yet again. Another heartbreaking end to a season.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Sean Payton handles Jarrett Stidham getting the start next week. I do have some confidence. I understand it's Jarrett Stidham. I don't believe he's taken a regular season snap or just a snap at all since 2023. So he's got rust. He's not a high end starter. There's a reason why he's a backup. But I almost have a little bit of confidence and excitement to see what Sean Payton has for this game. I think McDermott's firing is pretty well deserved in my mind. I just think it was a situation where it wasn't working anymore. In my mind, he deserved to go because he was a defensive coach whose defenses consistently didn't show up when it mattered most. I believe the Bills have given up at least 30 points in every single one of their playoff elimination games. And it just kind of seemed like it was the definition of insanity. They were trying the same thing over and over again, and it just wasn't working. I know a lot of people have expressed the rumor that Brian Dable could be headed back to the Bills. He was once their former offensive coordinator. I'm really interested to see where they go from now, but you kind of have to wonder how much longer Josh Allen is going to be able to play at a prime level.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to fire McDermott because he's a defensive-minded coach, and straight up, the defense hasn't been that good. I look at this Bills team and I think, man, this could have been their year with how rough the AFC was. I think one of maybe the worst dominoes is how rough the wide receiver core still has been post
Yeah,
Diggs. Like Keon Coleman being a first round pick that has just like I know the cookies memes, but like more than just the cookie stuff, like
he
he
has
hasn't
not been good.
he's not been a first round talent, straight up. So that's been really rough because I mean James Cook is great and all, and Kincaid and Dawson Knox are cool, but you're looking at from your wide receivers, 7 catches from Khalil Shakir, a catch from Keon Coleman, one from Mecole Hardman, two from Brandon Cooks, and one from Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, it just isn't a very talented group, unfortunately. I think they were really hoping that when they drafted Keon Coleman that he could be that kind of big time wide receiver one and jump ball receiver, red zone threat type of guy. And he just hasn't been that. We kind of saw it at Florida State, and we're still seeing in the NFL. He struggles to separate from DBs. He drops the football a lot, which is something that I didn't really foresee coming for Keon Coleman, but he has a lot of just like weird, easy drops. He's had games this year where he's been a healthy scratch. Um, so this might be another year where they're looking to take a receiver fairly high in the draft to try to just get someone that Josh Allen can throw the football to, because Khalil Shakir is great, but he can't be your true wide receiver one. I think he's more of a wide receiver two or really good slot option.
Yeah, and what confuses me is if you're going to fire Sean McDermott, I don't understand why you not only hang on to Brandon Beane, your general manager, but you promote him to the president of football operations. I don't know what Beane has, frankly, I don't know what he's done to deserve that kind of promotion. His drafting has been terrible these last few years. I'm sure you've seen that tweet going around where since he drafted Josh Allen back in 2018, he's drafted a total of 2 Pro Bowlers since. That's just not acceptable. And what's funny is we talk about how bad the wide receiver core is. Brandon Beane has poured significant resources into making sure that wasn't the case. I remember when they signed Curtis Samuel, I thought that was a really good low-key signing. Haven't heard much of him. I thought Joshua Palmer could be a really good low-key signing. Hasn't done much of anything. When you're relying on Brandon Cooks in big situations in the postseason, that's a huge issue.
How many receiving yards do you think Curtis Samuel had this year,
This year,
including
Less
including
than
playoffs?
400.
yeah,
Less than 400.
like 400-ish probably.
81.
81. Oh my
How
goodness.
many
I
how many games did
understand.
he play in? How many games did he play in?
I mean, I can't tell the ones that like he got a DNP versus like he just got. I don't
He
know if
just
he
didn't
was
get.
just suited up, but he had a catch in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So I don't know.
81
I mean,
yards.
He's
I'm not.
getting paid $8 million.
That's pretty gnarly.
He's
And
getting
I don't know about like all the history of injury stuff. I'm not super.
he's
Can
getting
Curtis Samuel FC tap in below in the comments?
he's getting paid $1 million per 10 receiving yards. That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. um, but moving, shifting a little bit to the Broncos. How do we think they fare going
Um,
into next week?
I mean, like the problem is that for the situation that they're in, starting Jarrett Stidham, New England is just a terrible matchup. New England's defense is top 10. They're really great. I would know more than anyone after this past weekend. The only hope is that Denver's defense is also insanely talented. Nick Benito, Patrick Surtain, those guys on the defense just make plays whenever they needed to. I mean, they forced 5 turnovers against Josh Allen. It's going to be tough. They hold the home field advantage. They've got the Denver altitude at their disposal, but it's going to be really hard. I'll be interested to see how they do.
yeah, I think if Denver is going to win this game, it's going to need to be a super defensive game where they're really able to try to limit what Drake May is able to do. Obviously he's been very good this year. Denver does lead the league in sacks, so they're gonna need to continue that, and they're gonna need to get pressure on Drake May. But I mean, Drake May is not a guy who throws a lot of interceptions, but he is a guy who fumbles a lot. I believe he led the league in fumbles this season, so Denver's just going to have to look to be opportunistic and try to take the ball away and create extra possessions for their offense. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what Jarrett Stidham does. I feel it's weird because I feel like they cannot afford to turn the ball over if they want to win this game, but at the same time, they can't be too conservative to the point where they just can't move the ball at all on offense and they're just relying on their defense to make plays and get a big defensive score maybe.
I truthfully think they're screwed. I mean, it's a tough Patriots defense, and you're looking at a team. Jared Stidham. I mean, when was the last time he like truthfully suited up? I've not watched a lot of Jared Stidham
I think
tape.
2023 was the last time that he started a game or at least threw a pass in a game. Um,
It was for when Russell Wilson was basically set to be cut immediately after the season. It was Sean Payton's first year, and he benched Russell Wilson for Jarrett Stidham, who just played like the last few games of the season when they were already eliminated.
Yeah,
yeah, it definitely is a rough situation for Denver. Um, but who knows? Maybe this is one of those situations where everyone's kind of like doesn't really know a whole lot about this backup, and he goes in and he plays great. Maybe it's like a Nick Foles situation, or a Malik Willis situation. I think that would be really cool to see. Sean Payton has expressed that, he has a ton of confidence in Jarrett Stidham. Now, every coach is going to say that they have confidence in their quarterbacks and their guys, but I think that has to do something for their team and something for Jarrett Stidham, that at least, Sean Payton believes in you. He believes that he can be the guy. Sean Payton has said that, he believes that Jarrett Stidham is good enough to be a starter for other teams. They have Bo Nix, so he's not the starter there. Um, I guess we'll have to wait and see how well that he can play.
Scuba Steve asks if we're going to talk about SDSU basketball. Don't worry, Scuba Steve. We'll get to college basketball later. It's going to be the back end of the segment. The NFL playoffs are a tad bit more important, but it does bring up a good point that we should probably move on to the next game. I don't think we have a whole lot to say about this one. 49ers Seahawks. Wow.
Uh,
Good Lord. That's all I have to
Six,
say.
yeah, 6-41.
um,
Seahawks.
yeah, I mean, this Seattle defense is a scary, scary unit. Like they are just so good on every level. Their D line is so good. I mean, Brock Purdy was running for his life back there. I think he was being pressured on like almost half of his dropbacks. He just really struggled to kind of get anything going. Seattle has looked like the best team, one of the best teams all season long, and certainly has looked like the best team in these playoffs. So I would say that they have to be the favorite going forward, especially with Denver now not having Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, I would pick the Seahawks at this point. Um, the 49ers just got mauled. Like, I honestly was pretty surprised they beat the Eagles. If you looked at this 49ers team, they certainly won enough games to make the playoffs, but they weren't a particularly good run blocking team by any sort of metric. They weren't a good pass blocking team. They didn't have an incredible defense. They were just kind of well coached by Shanahan and Saleh, and ultimately they were too injury prone to do much. I mean, legitimately, we talked about this earlier, Aiden, with what was it? It was the cell tower thing with the
Oh yeah,
49ers facility is
the
by
the power the San Fran, their facility is next to a power substation,
yeah.
which leads to a lot of injuries. You can look more into it. It is pretty interesting. Um, but yeah, supposedly this being so close to this cell station can cause cell dehydration in their bodies, which potentially is what causes San Fran to have so many injuries. Um, it was kind of just a matter of just too many injuries, too many guys trying to fill holes of really important pieces like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. And they just couldn't stay afloat anymore against a really talented and really well coached team in the Seattle Seahawks.
I don't know if it's science or some bad juju, but legitimately the first Warriors game that Christian McCaffrey went to, Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. So it is a horrible aura that's going on with the 49ers. Awful what happened to Jimmy Butler, by the way, as well. But just like crazy that happens at that point. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about the Niners. I think we'll have to see with the offseason. We'll get into offseason stuff once the offseason is here. But excited to see the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker also probably might have just helped himself get a huge bag, 3 touchdowns, 145 yards, all purpose. Once Charbonnet went out, I mean, he's talented. He's really talented. We'll see if he stays with the Seahawks. But let's get into our Sunday games. I'm sure this was a great day for two of our co-hosts here, as the Texans and Bears got to play. Start off with the Texans in the not morning game, but the earlier game. Texans Patriots 28-16. I mean, I'll tell you, this Texans defense did just about everything they could. They were as good as advertised. But CJ Stroud had a rough performance. Keenan, I'll let you open with your thoughts.
Man, when I saw Nico Collins got ruled out, I didn't think it was that devastating, mainly because the offense didn't really utilize him anyway. But when Trent Brown got ruled out, I kind of lost a lot of confidence in the Texans, and boy, did it show. I mean, it was just rough. I mean, you fellas saw me. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't mad. I was just sitting on the couch, not saying a word, depressed.
Yeah.
And that was the result on the field. I mean, the offensive line was just getting pushed around all day. They couldn't establish the running game. And boy, the guy that I bought a jersey of, the guy that I thought was our franchise savior 2 years ago, he now has maybe a year to turn it around before he's run out of the city. This was one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not gonna mince words. 4 interceptions in one half, one of the worst pick sixes of all time. Stroud just simply doesn't look like a starting caliber quarterback. He didn't look like it all postseason. I mean, the closest comparisons I had was Sam Darnold on the Jets and Bryce Young in his rookie year. He was just unable to maneuver the pocket, looked completely unconfident, nervous, and had no idea what he was doing. I understand he was missing both Collins and Schultz got hurt, but he was throwing passes that were so bad, he broke Kate Stover's knees. It was just terrible to watch. And it hurts to know that this is quite possibly the best Texans team I've ever seen in my life. This is one of the best defenses I think I've ever witnessed. And it's a shame to know that this defense did everything that they could. They made Drake May's day a living hell. They were good enough to not only make the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. And CJ Stroud in this offense failed miserably.
Yeah, I think honestly more so than the four interceptions obviously was really bad. That's what people are gonna focus on. Um, but I was watching the game and even the throws that like weren't intercepted, he had many throws that like probably could have or should have been intercepted. He was just missing like easy out routes. Like he just could never really get in a rhythm. He just looked really uncomfortable. He was missing easy throws. It was very odd. I have never seen Stroud play. I've never seen him play that poorly. He looked like he lacked confidence. It was yeah. At one point at halftime we were kind of like, at what point do you really consider taking him out of the game and putting Davis Mills in the game just because you're like
I
he
wasn't
had
saying that lightly. I wasn't saying that just to be like funny. Like I was being
yeah.
serious. I mean, how can you keep rolling with a guy who throw four interceptions in one half? And I think that's one thing that people are going to be very critical of D'Amico Ryans for is that they didn't. I mean, they didn't even put Davis Mills in for a second. I didn't even see him get off the bench and start making throws. He just decided to stick with CJ Stroud the whole way and not even give a chance to the backup quarterback who started the winning streak that made the season possible.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not gonna bench Stroud at that point as a coach. Like, he's not shown a lot uh, these playoffs. He's shown a lot of bad stuff. He hasn't even really shown a whole lot this entire season. But you have had your confidence in him through this point. Like, you got to finish it out with him. It sends a rough message if not. But I understand why you would feel that way. I mean, he was legitimately terrible. It's crazy to see how he's regressed really from his rookie year
Hmm.
to year two and year three. He has gotten significantly worse and worse. Um, it's rough when Nico's not out, but I think this receiving core is good enough. You know, when Nico's healthy, I've liked what I've seen. I've liked the fact that they continually invested in it. You know, Diggs got hurt, Tank Dell got hurt, both really great guys. At one point, like one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. But they decided to go get Christian Kirk, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson. At least they're investing in spots, and I think they showed flashes where if Nico Collins was here, that would at least be enough to be competent. But I don't think it was a receiving core. It was really ultimately Stroud who was just struggling in this
Hmm.
game. For the Pats, I mean, I'm a little upset, man. I'm a little upset. It's not fair. Okay, it's not fair that they didn't have to struggle for very long. It's not fair that they got to play like an unserious quarterback and they're going to play another one and they're basically going to get like a semi cakewalk to the Super Bowl. They got another franchise quarterback. They've got another awesome head coach. Like it. Here's the thing that really annoys me. You want to know what really annoys me? I like the players on this Patriots team. Like I want to.
I want to
I
root
don't
for Drake May, but I just can't.
I like Drake May. I like Travion Henderson. I like Mike Vrabel. I like Stephon Diggs, but I don't like the Patriots. I don't like the brand. They've been so evil empire for such a long time now that I have to hate them, and it sucks. It's worse than if I could just go all the way in and hate them, all the way in and love them. It's just this awful toxic relationship. It's like this evil, ex-girlfriend situationship thing that's pulling you back and forth. She did all this bad stuff, but now she's saying she's changed, and it's like, just leave me alone. Um, but they'll have a good chance to beat Denver for sure. Um, let's move on to the last game of the NFL slate. Another overtime game. Rams and Bears. Rams come out on top 20-17. I mean, just what an up and down throw. Not super high scoring game, but there were certainly points where if you were a Bears fan, you were feeling very good. And there are certainly times where as a Rams fan, you felt very good. What did you feel though, our Rams fan, Mr. Ig Nobel?
I'm not a Rams fan. I am a Bears
Or
fan.
Bears fan, Bears fan. Yes.
Um,
Apologies.
but no. I mean, certainly heartbreaking. I think for me personally, I'd never expected to get this far, to be this good in year one under Ben Johnson anyway. I was happy to make the playoffs. I was happy to have a winning season. But yeah, the fact that we were able to win the division and win a playoff game for the first time in 15 years in year one under Ben Johnson was so awesome. But for me, the season was so much fun. I didn't want it to ever end. Um, and I'm extremely encouraged about what the future can hold for the Chicago Bears team. They have a ton of really, really like young and promising players. But like for all the heroics that Caleb Williams had, that throw to Cole Kmet, which will go down in history as one of the
I
greatest throws
mean,
I've ever seen. Um,
can we pause on that for just a moment? Like, I remember watching that live thinking, you legitimately were saying, like, he has to throw it.
yeah,
He just kept
he
on
he
backpedaling. It was a 51 air yards on a 14-yard touchdown.
he was at the 40-yard line when he let go of the ball.
His back foot.
Yeah, off his back foot, hit as he threw, just perfect throw to the back corner of the end zone to Cole Kmet. Um, but outside of like that throw, he really didn't play all that great in this game. He had three interceptions, which the last interception, I don't know if that was really on his fault. It looked like there was kind of maybe some miscommunication between him and DJ Moore. If you watch that tape back, DJ Moore looks like he's not running full speed. He kind of looks like he's jogging his route, which he has looked like he's done on several occasions this year. Um, I'm so happy with how the season went. This was the most fun I've ever had watching a Bears season. I'm could not be more encouraged for the future. Um, I was really impressed though with how the Bears defense looked in this game. I think that would have been one of the real issues for the Bears kind of all season long. And they were really able to limit what Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams were able to do in this game. Just the offense was never really able to get into a real rhythm. Ben Johnson stuck true to his identity and was aggressive. Probably did leave some points on the board, but who knows? I mean, that's just what he's going to do. He's going to be aggressive. You can't ask him to change his identity in the playoffs. Um, shout out! I got to give credit to the Rams. Sean McVay is such a good coach. They're another case of just like it is frustrating that they are just so good year in and year out, and they have these great offenses. But yeah, I was really impressed with how the Rams defense looked in this game because um, they looked great in the beginning of the season, but towards the later stages, um, really struggled.
Yeah, I think I was looking into next year. The run game really is what I would look at if I were Ben Johnson. I mean, that's what the passing game stuff you loved with the Lions,
Hmm.
but you always had that rushing attack with Gibbs and Montgomery, and he tried to recreate that a bit with Swift and Monangai. I don't think Swift is enough of a north-south runner, and Monangai, bless his soul. bless his soul, amazing pass blocker. He's a seventh round guy. I don't think he's not you're not gonna want him as your best running back, obviously. So I might look for a little bit of personnel change and beef up the offensive line a little bit because I feel like the personnel isn't matching the brilliance of what Ben Johnson has, particularly in this game. And the Rams have a good defense. It's a playoff game. You really want to establish the run the cold. Lenon guy 13 for 36, Swift 19 for 76. We saw multiple occasions where Swift particularly, he was trying to hurdle guys. I mean, they're in the red zone. It's second down. You'd love to be able to run the ball. I believe this was at the end of the half where they didn't punch it in or towards the end of the game. And they ran it twice and just got nowhere because Swift kept on trying to go east-west and he couldn't
Hmm.
just barrel through. So I think that's more of a personnel thing than a coaching. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Aiden.
Um,
I just want to say I kind of disagree. I think the Bears should actually invest more in defense. I
yeah.
under, I understand that they did. I expected the Rams Bears game out of the 4 divisional round games to be like the shootout, and I was kind of surprised that it was a 20-17 game by the final minute. The defense throughout the season, especially the secondary, definitely needs to be improved on. It just wasn't great all season long. Aiden, I mean, you and I were talking throughout the game about how you watch the Bears' defensive line just continuously let the opposing quarterbacks get at least 3 to 5 seconds in the pocket before they make a throw. That needs to be improved. So I think the defense should definitely be one of, if not the top priority for the Bears, mainly because I think they did a great job addressing the offensive line.
Hmm.
They did what I wish the Texans had did, and they were super aggressive. I mean, they got 2 Pro Bowlers on the offensive line to help Caleb Williams. So I think they're close. I think the offense could definitely still use a few more tweaks, but I would think the defense needs a little bit more of the spotlight.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the biggest issue for the Bears this whole season was just the lack of a really elite pass rush. Montez Sweat is cool, but you just need more. I think they were towards the bottom of the league in rush defense, pass rush win rate, pressure rate. Like outside of Montez Sweat, no one was really getting after the quarterback for this team. They brought in Grady Jarrett to potentially be another pass rusher or and run stopper, and he just was not very good this year. Um, a big time guy that the Bears have been rumored for a while is Max Crosby. We'll see if that ends up getting done this offseason. I have no idea what that trade package would end up looking like. Um, I do like Swift as a player. I think he had a really good year for us. Um, I like him kind of as a pass catching ability, but I do get what you're saying with him not being a very good um, downhill runner, and I think that doesn't reflect kind of the identity that Ben Johnson wants this Bears team to have, which is physical power run that sets up the play action, sets up the big shot plays. Um, I think Kyle Mononga, he was great. He was probably the steal of the draft. Um, but yeah, you might need a little bit more. And the Bears defense was legitimately one of the worst units in the league. I think a lot of their issues were masked by the fact that they were able to take the ball away. And that didn't happen in the playoff games. I don't think they had a takeaway in either playoff game. So they have a couple big pieces that are in the last year of their deal, notably Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker. So we'll we'll have to see what ends up happening with those guys if they choose to bring them back. I think Brisker would be maybe a bit more of a priority just because he's a bit younger. Obviously, Kevin Byard was an All-Pro this year, but he'll be 32, I believe, at the start of next season. So we'll have to see what Poles and the Bears decide to do with their defense because um, and Dennis Allen because I think he wants to build his defense a certain way, which I think a lot of the personnel was still left over from Matt Eberflus's scheme.
Yeah, but I think that's everything we have to think about for the playoffs so far. I
Hmm.
mean, do we want to give our Super Bowl predictions? Why not? Aiden, Keenan, who do you guys think is going to the Super Bowl, and who do you think is going to win it?
Um, I think we're gonna get a rematch of Seahawks Patriots, and this time around, I think the Seahawks are gonna get it done. I everything that I've seen from them has shown me that they are um, probably the most balanced team in the playoffs. They have the best defense remaining still in the playoffs. Um, I think Sam Darnold is good enough to get you over the hump. I think a lot of people were worried about him potentially uh, imploding like he has in some of these past big games, but he looked great against the 49ers, even with that oblique injury that people thought could potentially keep him out of that playoff game. So I got to go with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Seahawks Patriots, but I'm going to go the reverse. I think the Patriots will beat the Seahawks. I just don't know about trusting Sam Darnold in the biggest game possible. I mean, I would have a hard time trusting him even if he wasn't dealing with this oblique injury. But it's mainly because, one, I think the Patriots team, after getting a closer look at them on Sunday, this team is just built top to bottom to win a championship. Drake May, when he's not fumbling, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league in his second year. The running back core is solid. I've been really impressed what Josh McDaniels has been able to do with this receiving core. I think if you looked at this receiving core before the season, it wasn't anything special. Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs are all making huge. Even Pop Douglas had a touchdown against the Texans. I've been really impressed with how this wide receiving core has contributed. And then I've already given my flowers to the Patriots defense. Christian Gonzalez, I know everyone talks about how good Derek Stingley is. Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the game. So I think that the Patriots will get it done. Indiana was our feel good story. We go back to sports championships going to teams that already have them.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be Seahawks Patriots. That would definitely be my pick. The Rams are a solid team, and anything can happen in football. But I feel very confident the Broncos won't win without Bo Nix. And between the Patriots and the Seahawks, I mean, it's a very good game. I do like May a lot more than Darnold, especially with how mistake averse he is. He's a very efficient passer, and I think that's really important when you're looking at a one game sample size where things can go wrong. But I still am gonna pick the Seahawks. I think the Patriots have a little more holes in them, but it'll certainly be a great game if that's the game that we get. But as we shift over from football to basketball, let's take a little break here to do our player of the week. This is the 11th week that we've done player of the week. You know what, Aiden? Or who wants to start us off, Aiden or Keen?
Uh, Whoever I can start us off.
Go ahead, Aiden. Go ahead. Who's your player of the week?
My player of the week comes from the MAC conference in college basketball. My player of the week is Peter Suter of Miami, Ohio. He had 37 points with the game winner, I believe last night or 2 nights ago versus Buffalo to keep them undefeated, get them ranked. And tonight in another overtime victory over Kent State, he had 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists to put them to 20-0, best start ever for a MAC team. Yeah, so shout out Peter Suter and shout out what the Miami, Ohio Redhawks are doing right now. One of the most exciting teams in the country. I believe they have the number 2 offense in all of college basketball right now. So definitely got to give credit to Miami, Ohio.
We'll talk about that more later when we get to college basketball. But yeah, I love that you go out of your way to pick some more niche guys. That's what the player of the week is all about, Aiden. And we will be talking about Red Hawk basketball. But Keenan, what about you?
Man, I had a guy locked in for most of the day, but after a recent result in the NBA, I'm going to switch my pick. Give me, I don't mean to be biased here. Give me Reed Shepard. He came off the bench today against the Spurs, 21 points, 4 3-pointers. Was a big part in the Rockets' come from behind victory against the Spurs tonight. Yeah, Reed Shepard has really improved this season. He's really impressed me. I know he's on the bench tonight because he really needs to improve his defense, but 21 points off the bench. I see you.
No bias there at all, and I think it's good that you're shouting at a guy who has come around from a rough start of the year. Well, I am also going to go with a basketball player. I think this is the first time we've gotten a basketball sweep. Um, I'm going to go with a guy that some would call too big to fail. They'd say that his size and largeness is much like the U.S. bank economy, where it's so massive it can't mess up. I'm of course talking about Donovan Clingan. This past week, he has caught my eye. Too big to fail, as I like to
Too big to
call
fail is one of the best nicknames in sports.
he's had a pretty solid week, nothing crazy, but I don't know. When I've been watching the Blazers, he's really stood out to me. Obviously,
Hmm.
he is massive at 7'3", 7'4", and quite wide as well. Um, and obviously he's a rebound beast for that reason. Against Sacramento, 21 and 17 in his most recent game, 18 and 11 against the Lakers. I mean, he just gobbles up rebounds regardless, and he can close out possessions. And he can kind of shoot a standstill three,
Hmm.
kind of shooting 31% this year. But he's like a solid interior defensive presence, which makes me like even more so think like, why did they draft Yang Hansen? Like, I don't know. I think you got a lot of good stuff there with Klingon, but if there's talent, there's talent. The having Nurkic didn't stop the Nuggets from drafting Jokic, I suppose. So if it's a similar situation, there you go. But yeah, I just like watching him. He was a solid pick when they got him for a Blazers team that has such a weird direction. Don't you agree?
Hmm.
Like who they've got Denny. Sure, they just got rid of Anthony Simons. They have Shaden Sharp, Klingon. They have a really solid defense, but then they have like these weird old guys like Drew Holiday and obviously Damian Lillard who will come back next year. Like just such a bizarre team, but I really like
Hmm.
Klingon, and he's my player of the week. So we'll get those out. And I think this week we're gonna have a graphic once I get the Instagram, the TikTok, and all that running up. And I've been jotting down time codes for some YouTube shorts, but I'm
Sweet.
gonna edit for this. So we'll do that later in the following week. But speaking of Donovan, Donovan's slinging as he's slinging threes. Let's go over to the NBA and talk about the All-Star starters they have released. Reminder, there are no more positions on the ballot, so it is just the best five guys in each conference. In the East, we got Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brown, Giannis, and Tyrese Maxey. And in the West, we got Luka, Shea, Curry, Wemby, and Jokic. No Ant, no Mitchell. What stands out the most to you guys about these All-Star starters?
Um, for, just right off the bat, no Anthony Edwards All-Star starter jumps out to me. I think he has been one of the best players in all of basketball this year. I understand um, the love for Steph Curry. Um, I don't care. I think Anthony Edwards has just been a better player than Steph Curry has this season. I think he deserves to be an All-Star starter, and I think this was a big snub by the NBA.
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
been. I mean, he hasn't been better than SGA.
No,
Luca,
but
he hasn't been better than Luca, or Wemby or Jokic, but like certainly has been better than Curry. He's been a top five player in the West. I guess it doesn't make that much of a difference. All star starter versus starter.
yeah.
And I will say, I think I might have Mitchell over like Maxey or Brunson. I do think it's cool that you don't have the positions like the East has like
Hmm.
3 point guards, pretty much. Cade, Maxey, Brunson, and then Jalen Brown is like a 2-3. I also think, if you would have told me that Jalen Brown would be an all-star starter at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have believed you. He's had an
Yeah.
incredible season. It's been nuts that the Celtics have been so good without Tatum, without Porzingis, without Drew Holiday.
Hmm. Yeah, I think going into the year, I think a lot of people looked at this Celtics team and this Celtics season as kind of just a wash until Tatum was able to come back. I think people kind of assumed they're just going to kind of be able to float, maybe even just they want to tank and just try to get a high draft pick, and use that pick for when Tatum comes back and build up a roster again, and then Tatum comes back and you can compete for a championship again. But dare I say they can compete for a championship right now with how Jalen Brown has been playing. I mean, they have looked really good. Another guy that's been really good for Boston is Luka Garza, who kind of came out of nowhere and has been a kind of revelation for them at center. Um, yeah, pretty insane what Jaylen Brown's been able to do as the primary scorer for Boston this year.
Yeah, I mean now they're the 2 seed. It's pretty nuts. LeBron, not an All-Star starter, not a surprise. But he now is possibly in jeopardy for losing out on his All-Star selection streak. He's had 21 years in the NBA, 21 All-Stars. Do you think he'll be an All-Star this year? It is top 30.
I think he'll still be an all-star.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can still name 30 players in the NBA who are
Well,
better than LeBron James.
how about this? Let's go through it because it's not necessarily 30. It's 15 in the West. So we already
Yeah.
know the starters:
hmm
Shea, Curry, um, Jokic, Wemby, and who was the other starter? It was Luca. And
Yep.
I'm assuming we're gonna have Ant over LeBron as well.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna go through the teams real quick, and then we'll sketch it out. So that's 6. If we get to 15, LeBron's not an All Star. The Thunder
hmm
don't have anyone else. I don't think. The Spurs I don't think have anyone else. The Nuggets. Would you rather Murray or LeBron? I think it's close. Murray's
I
been
think it's
really good this year.
I
That's a
think
good discussion to have.
I think it's close. I would still lean towards LeBron James. But there is certainly a discussion to be made there.
And then, so we'll go 6.5. We'll go 6.5. Rockets. KD is over LeBron for me
hmm
easily. That's seven and a
Yeah.
half. Is Sengun over him? I don't think
I
so.
I
don't
don't
think
know.
so.
I don't think you can put
I don't
Sengun
think
over
so.
I don't
LeBron.
think so
I
either.
don't think so.
7.5. Suns. Booker's honestly not been great, but I still think better than LeBron.
I would have to I'd have to look at their numbers side
We'll
by
say we'll
side,
round.
but
We'll go half. We'll go 8. Wolves, no one else. Lakers, no one else. Although no, Reeves has been better than LeBron this year.
he's also missed
Statistically,
he's missed a lot of time too though.
LeBron's missed a lot of time too. Um,
That's true.
Yeah, Reeves and LeBron,
Warriors.
they've missed they're only apart by 1 game miss.
I would say that would be close, but popularity, LeBron's probably winning that. Warriors, no one else. Blazers, you probably got to put Denny over LeBron as much as I don't really like watching him play, so that's 9.
hmm
Clippers, Harden has been better than LeBron. Harden's
Harden
nuts.
is really good this
Kawhi
year.
hasn't played enough games, but he's been really good. At 10, Grizzlies, no. Mavs, no. Jazz.
No.
What about Laurie, dude? He's averaging
Yeah, I was
30.
gonna say Laurie's the only person worth having a discussion. He's averaging almost 28
And
points
and
per
and
game.
Bryce Sensabaugh.
The only we're not putting Bryce Sensabaugh in. I know how much
I,
you like Bryce Sensabaugh. He's not an all-star.
Will
Um,
Friday needs to start.
I will
He needs
say
to be a starter first.
I think even if even though Larry Markins had a great season, I think the Jazz are simply too bad for him to get an all-star appearance over LeBron.
Even if Laurie's in there, that's 11. And I don't think there's anyone on the Kings or Pelicans that I put as an all-star. So that's only 11 people, and there was a couple maybes. So I think Bron
I
Bron will be
I,
in
I would say I feel pretty confident and comfortable that he will be an all-star this year. Kind of just whether he deserves to be or not, that's another debate, but he plays for the Lakers and it's LeBron James. I feel very confident that the NBA will have him in the All-Star game.
there. Yeah,
Um, but there is certainly an argument to be made that yeah, that maybe he doesn't deserve to be, that there's better players, but he is 41 years old, so he can't still be he can't always just be a top 20 player in the NBA. At a certain point,
yeah,
he is going to regress.
yeah. Well, let's shift over as we're wrapping up today's show to the college basketball world. We already talked about it a little bit earlier, but Miami, Ohio, number 25 team in the nation, one of the only teams in college basketball that is undefeated. They had a close one today against Kent State,
hmm
went to overtime, but they beat them 107 to 101. Aiden, what do you think of the Red Hawks?
Yeah, back to back overtime games for Miami, Ohio. Um, I think it's pretty clear that they are by far the best team in their conference. They're really fun to watch. Their offense is really good. They get scoring from a lot of different places. Um, how they stack up with the rest of the country and the rest of some of these top teams, I don't know, but like there's a very good chance that when tournament time comes around that this Miami Ohio team is like a 4 seed or something, which would be nut. I don't know about that high.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
That's a little high. I would say like maybe like a max, like a 6 or 7 seed.
I
yeah, I think that's
I
about
guess
right.
I don't know how they value conferences, but I'm saying like w- what if Miami Ohio goes into the tournament undefeated? I mean,
Here's my thought process. They've had quite a few close games. They are a very good
they
basketball team.
have.
They've got an awesome offense. They can't guard, and they're gonna lose one. I think, in my opinion, I think they're gonna lose one or two. If they lose,
Hmm.
if they lose none, if they go absolutely undefeated, you gotta figure they'll burrow into the top 15 and be like a bottom tier 4 seed, which would still be
Yeah,
nuts.
which would be
If they
crazy,
lose
but
a game, I'm thinking 5, 6. If they lose two, you get to like 6 to 8. If you lose more than, if you're losing like 3 or 4, you're starting to quickly get out of the range of
hmm
even at-large bid because UC San Diego last year, amazing basketball team, amazing mid-major team, lost all of 4 games last year. Were not an at-large bid. They had to win their conference. They were a 12 seed. So if you get to 4, and I think UC San Diego's conference arguably better. UC San Diego was playing better teams. You know, they had some real like games on. Those losses were like real. They weren't MAC losses. They lost to like a solid San Diego State team, I believe, and like I think they played Gonzaga. So it's a little bit different.
hmm
Um, but I mean, gosh, they're still a lot of fun, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. I mean, Peter's. There's a reason he was my player of the week. Peter Suter is really, really fun to watch. This Miami Ohio team is really exciting. Um, but I do probably think that they will drop a game at some point. But what a start to the season, regardless of how it finishes.
Um, and I want to talk about another mid-major team, St.
Hmm.
Louis in the top 25. I like when there's some good mid-majors in college basketball. I think it's a lot more fun. And St. Louis in the A10, a borderline, they're still definitely a mid-major conference, but like once you get out of the power conferences, you know, the Power Five, I'd say it's like Mountain West is the next best, and then probably the A10. I mean, they produce some good teams, like some of those Dayton teams, some of those St. Louis teams have been solid. Richmond,
Yeah,
whatnot. Davidson has been all right in years. So I like some A10 hoops. So it's cool that they got some love by the A people.
yeah. The A10 is really solid this year. George Mason is hot on St. Louis's tail.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to when they face off. That's the last regular season game for both squads on March 7th. You've also got Dayton and teams like VCU that are trying to potentially pick up
steal
a
a
couple
mid.
games against the cream of the crop and enter the top of the conversation. The A10, in terms of mid-major hoops, is like you said, Casey. It's near the top, right around where the Mountain West is.
Yeah, it would be cool. I would like if like George Mason and St. Louis could maybe be at large bids, and then like
Hmm.
Dayton or VCU or Davidson steals one. Like it's always fun for me
Yeah.
when a couple teams from a conference like that. Like yeah, it's definitely Mountain West, and then like WCC, but like that's just because Gonzaga, Santa Clara, like Gonzaga, Santa
hmm
Clara, and St. Mary's like really carry that conference. And even then, Santa Clara's not always that good.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, looking at this, I'm just looking at this St. Louis team right now. They have 6 players on their roster who score and who average double digit scoring a game. So it's not really one guy who's scoring like 20 a game or something. Obviously, Robbie Avila is their star, um, but it's just a kind of by committee team. It's a lot of guys contributing. Um, and they're just a really deep team, and they get a lot of contributions from a lot of different places. Um, they shoot 38% from three as a team. Like the St. Louis squad is really good. So I'm very interested to see how they look how they look yeah in coming down the stretch here.
And I think we're still far away from tournament time, but when you have these
Yeah.
deeper teams, they tend to lend themselves a little bit better to the tournament. But
Hmm.
enough of major basketball. Our last little topic of the day: Iowa State drops two straight after a 16-0 start. They were one of those teams that was still undefeated for so long, but some feel that maybe they didn't drop in the AP poll quite enough.
Um, I definitely am one of those. You lose to Kansas, who is a good team, but at the time that you lost to them, they were unranked and you lost by 20 points. And then you go on the road and you lose to Cincinnati, who at the time was 9-8. Um, Cincinnati is one of the best defensive teams in all of college basketball. I believe they're a top five defensive team in college basketball. Um, but you drop that game again, and they only dropped 7 spots in the poll. I felt that they potentially should have probably dropped out of the top 15. Um, but Iowa State is still a really good team. Milan Momcilovic and Joshua Jefferson are really good. I believe Milan Momcilovic, yeah, is I think he's having one of the best 3-point shooting seasons in college basketball history right now. He's shooting 54% from three on like 7 attempts a game. It's kind of nuts what he's been able to do for Iowa State. Um, so I would not necessarily hit the panic button for Iowa State quite yet. I do think they're still a really good team, but I do think that they should have dropped more in the polls than they did.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, keep in mind this was a team that went to Purdue and absolutely smoked the Boilermakers early in the season. I mean, going and losing at Allen Fieldhouse is one thing. It's one of the toughest places to play
Hmm.
in the entire country. But dropping one on the road to an incredibly mediocre Cincinnati team is definitely a cause of alarm. And the diagnosis is that their defense just kind of fell off a cliff those two games. I mean, both games at least four players on the other team had double digits. But they did rebound today. They went against a UCF team that took Arizona to the brink on Saturday, and that will probably make it in come tournament time. Beat them by 30 today. So that's a good way to rebound from two straight losses. And I still think that maybe those two losses reveal that it's a bit questionable now of how they stack up to teams like Houston and Arizona as one of the absolute best of the conference. But I still think they're one of the best teams in the country.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's fair. I think they'll be
Um,
like a 2 to 4 seed.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Just real quick, got to shout out Joshua Jefferson in that bounce back win. They beat UCF, who is a really good team. They beat them by 30. Joshua Jefferson had a triple double with 0 turnovers, 12 assists, 0 turnovers today in Iowa State's win. So definitely a really good bounce back win that they absolutely needed to have in order to prevent themselves from just spiraling out of control.
Yeah, well, speaking of college basketball, the fellas will be going to GCU versus San Diego State tomorrow. A little breakdown after dark field trip. It'll be my first time seeing GCU at home. I've seen two of their games. They've lost both times, so hopefully they lose again.
Um,
The line is set right now at 1.5 for San Diego State. What are our
mm,
score predictions, fellas, before we close out the show?
mm. Uh, well, San Diego State obviously, typically in years past is a very defensive team. This year, not so much. Um, I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be. I do think it's gonna be a close game. I'm gonna go 75-70 SDSU.
I'm gonna go. I agree with Aiden. I don't think the defense has been quite there for SDSU, but their scoring, especially against New Mexico on Saturday, really impressed me. I'm gonna go 79-74.
I'm going to take State as well. I think it'll be similar to the Nevada game, where they went out there and had a tough game, but still played better defense than Nevada's been used to. I don't think that GCU has seen quite many teams so far on the schedule that have been able to play quite the level of basketball as San Diego State. I'm feeling 72-65 Aztecs. But if we have nothing else, it's been a real pleasure having a little video
Mhm.
format for the first time. We'll definitely revise the format, but Mondays after Keenan and I's WCSN meeting around 9:15, 9:30 is when our weekly shows will be. And now we can kind of do these from wherever. So we'll be expecting them, over our breaks and whatnot. We're not um, confined to the Bill Austin radio studio anymore. I'll be working on some shorts, some graphics and stuff. I'll pump those out. They'll be all over socials over the coming week. But it's been a good time. Thank you all so much for watching if you tuned in at any moment. And have a great night.